In this video, we're going to go over the best options for road cases for your Yamaha YC series of keyboards. Let's check it out. Hey guys, it's Steve from Featherlight Studio, and in this video, we're going to go over some of the best road case options for the Yamaha YC series of stage keyboards. And I had a ton of people ask me about this. Which is the best road case for the YC-88, for example, because it's big and it's heavy, and so many of the road cases are oversized. They're just gigantic. By the time you load this guy in here, because this is pretty stout in itself, just weight-wise, and then you put it in like a full-size 88-note flight case, and the thing is like moving a refrigerator. I mean, it's just huge. So I want to go over a couple of different options that I went through when I was looking for cases for this, and some of the things that I found and some of the challenges that I had to face in doing it. But I did finally eventually land on something that is a great combination of protection, especially if you're banging it around and you're doing a lot of different kinds of road work, but also light enough to make it realistic to carry back and forth to like nightly gigs, you know, or casuals and stuff like that. So first things first, I bought all these cases over the years with my own money. None of these were sent to me for review. And this is really just my honest findings of the things that have worked best for me, especially out on the road and touring. Gator makes a lot of these style cases. They make a 49-note one, they make a 61-note, which is perfect for the YC-61. They make two different 76-note style keyboard cases, which actually would be a little long probably for the 73. And then they make four different 88-note style keyboard cases. So it makes it pretty challenging to find the best possible fit for the YC-88. And in addition, a lot of people carry them. So most major music stores like Sweetwater carries them. You can find them on Amazon, Musician's Friend, Guitar Center. I also spent quite a bit of time looking at SKB cases as well, because I used to have a couple of them, but I like the older and much more rigid ABS plastic design that they used to have. They have a couple of different series now, including the new I series, which is actually waterproof, but it's significantly more expensive. They're quite a bit bulkier, and the interior design is a bit roomier than I like. They don't give you quite as many options. Now, some of them, weirdly enough, like this guitar case, gives this great molded interior, but they don't have anything like that for keys. And I think it's just because there's so many different kinds of keyboards. So you're set up with a bunch of blocks and this kind of similar system to the Gator cases, but there's a lot more room and a lot more space to fill up. And then there's a lot of empty open plastic space as well. So this is probably more a preference thing. I like the design of the Gator cases much better, especially if they can fit really snug for that same size. The 61-note SKB case was probably the closest to the design that I would like to use in terms of overall fit and having it fit really snug, but still fairly spendy for what it is. Comparable to the Gator cases, I like the Gator case design a little bit better, and it's a bit more flexible, and the entire case is lined, which is much nicer. I also looked at some of the semi-rigid or soft cases that Gator makes as well, and I think these are probably fine for the 61-note keyboard because it's so much lighter, but by the time you get up into the 73-note and the 88-style YCs, it's just too much weight to really safely protect it, especially if you plan on doing any real road work where a thing is going to get banged around and thrown in and out of rental vans and cartage companies and stuff. The 61-note case, I think, makes the most sense if you're going to get a semi-rigid or soft case, as the keyboard is light enough to really be still pretty well protected, and the case itself isn't terribly expensive. So if you're just doing around town gigging and that kind of stuff, and you're fairly careful with stuff, I think the 61-note version, this slim version here by Gator, would probably work just as well. And if you want your YC to travel in style, you actually have a choice of getting the Yamaha branded soft case for it as well, though this isn't dramatically different than the Gator soft case, just significantly more money, same basic design. I think the one that makes the most sense here, if you're actually going to do this, again, is really the YC-61, just because it makes for a super compact overall package, small enough to really carry as a backpack because it's light enough and still provides adequate protection. So the case that I ended up landing on was the Gator GTSA-KEY76, and I'll leave that information in the links below so you guys can check it out. But what makes it unique is that it's actually a case for a 76-note keyboard, not an 88-note. And the reason I went with that is because the 88-note style keyboard cases are massive. They're like moving a fridge. but more importantly, a lot of them had a ton of space at the end or on, the sides or the back, and that really concerns me, especially if you're doing, a lot of rugged travel. If you're in and out of like clubs and stages and festivals and vans and transport, companies and that kind of stuff, and your stuff's getting banged around a lot. The YC-88 weighs 41 pounds and change, and that's a lot of inertia. So when that really gets going, if you have a lot of dividers and stuff with a lot of extra space in here, it could potentially kind of like slam through that. And I really wanted something that fit this really snug, that had just about all the compartment size filled up. And so this particular style, the 76-note keyboard case, just happens to fit, just coincidentally, the dimensions of the YC almost perfectly. There's a bit of space in the front so you can put pedals in it. The YC-61 with its waterfall 70-weighted keyboard is the lightest of the bunch at just 15.6 pounds. The YC-73 with its balanced hammer action keyboard weighs in at a bit more at 29.6 pounds. And the YC-88 with its natural wood graded hammer action weighs in at 41 pounds. Depending on the vendor that you go through, the actual case dimensions, especially the interior case dimensions, even on the Gator site, can be a little challenging to get. So our exact dimensions, if you leave the two inserts left and right in, are 48 inches interior. If you take the two separators out completely, the length of the case inside is 51.5 inches, and the depth of the case is 18 inches. From the bottom of the case to the first clamshell top is 3 inches and 2.5 on the top closing hinge. So the YC fits in here pretty snug. And like I said, it's the end-to-end fit that I was most concerned with, because that was the hardest to actually get. So this way, you have a little bit of space with the YC to actually add things like pedals and some other stuff in here. So the most important measurement in the whole case period is the end-to-end measurement, because the YC is about 51.25 inches. And the case itself, end to end, if you take everything out, is like 51 3/8, or maybe 51.5 barely. Now, I've had this for a while, and this is the end, the bottom of the case, so I've set this down a bunch of times, so it's probably compressed a little bit, but that measurement's the most important thing. The only thing that I did, the two things I did to make it fit really just ideally, is the little standoffs they give you here. I kept one of them and I put it here at the top. So there's the bottom of the keyboard case, that's the top where the handle is. And I put this in here just to keep the board from moving around this way during transport. And then the other thing is on the other one that I didn't keep, I just cut that off because I needed the Velcro on the bottom. And I just used the little Velcro piece and I stick it in here. And then this allows me to put my pedals without marring up the keyboard. I can just slide them in there and then keep my hold pedal in here as well. And then this folds over to kind of protect it. And then that's the entire case. Everything is nice and snug, nothing moves, and it's perfect for transport as well, because when I get to the stage, everything I need is right here in the box. I don't have to go looking through extra cases or flight cases or somebody else's van or whatever. It's all right here. I'm ready to go. I just throw a couple of set lists on the top and the whole thing shuts up. I'm totally good to go. So let's talk a little bit about flying. If you're going to do any kind of flying with the YC series of boards, especially the YC-88, because, at 41 pounds and change, it's pretty heavy already by the time you add, another 20 pound, 25 pound case to it. It can get pretty stout. So I have flown with this a couple of different times, but they were all pretty local regional stuff. It does have TSA, locking clasps, and those are regulated now, so you can't get around that. And in that regard, it's fine. It's pretty stout, but what I've found is that if I was really gonna do a ton of flying, if our tour schedule was like, we're all East Coast or overseas, I would definitely look into a full ATA style case. And they weigh a ton and they're crazy expensive. They can push upwards towards $1,000, so that's a big consideration. What the Gator style cases are best at is a compromise. Really rugged local transportation where you're banging it around with a bunch of other gear in and out of like trailers. These are great for that. They really are. I think that's where they're best designed. All of the handles and everything and the clasps are great. It's durable. The handles in the end make transportation a lot easier. It's wheeled, so all that stuff, awesome. But like I said, if you were flying on a regular basis, I don't know that I would trust that. I would definitely go for a full ATA style case, something that could absolutely withstand just the brutal rigors of like regular flight travel. I think where these really shine, like I said, is combination stuff where you need fairly lightweight, because these are fairly lightweight cases. You can still lift them, but they provide really good overall protection, and it's nothing like a soft case where things can get banged up and chipped and that kind of stuff. They really do a great job for that kind of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about some of the cons of this style of case, because no product is perfect. And that is, you cannot leave these guys in direct sunlight for long periods of time because they're made of ABS. And this stuff literally, and you can kind of see it here, it actually starts to kind of warp the case on the top or whatever basically faces the sun. And you know, you can, I mean, it's flexible and it's ABS plastic, of course, and every now and then I have to kind of go back when the case cools off and kind of reattach that because it's just adhesive on the inside. But that is one drawback of ABS style cases. This is also true of ATA, you know, flight cases as well that are lined or at least finished with ABS, and most of them are. It will eventually misshape the case. It still maintains its overall structural integrity. That's not a problem, but it just looks a little funky when it starts kind of wigging out like that. So keep them in the shade because that part's a big issue. And the other one is these handles here. This is actually done pretty well for me, but I've had two prior cases like this where this handle design, because it's just plastic that's been, you know, press fitted into these little brackets here. In really cold weather, I've pulled two of these off. The handles are well made and they're really incredibly durable for what they have to go through, but it is something to be aware of. In this particular case, I ended up having to put a bolt through them and put some brackets on this. But these were very specific conditions and extremely brutal. They were sub-zero. We were working for the USO for some northern military bases, and this was a heavy keyboard in here at 45 pounds, so something to be aware of if you really plan on working in cold climates. Other than that though, the cases have been remarkably durable. And I mean, I have beat the tar out of these things. I've been everywhere and just about under every condition, and it's still done remarkably well. The wheels have a nice ABS rubberized, you know, bottom to them, and they work great, you know, when you're going in and out of stairs and steps and concrete and all that kind of stuff. So overall, the case, it's absolutely, I think, the best that you can get for what's available. In terms of what else is out there, it's either this or it's a bag case, which provides honestly very little protection for a super heavy keyboard like this, or it's full ATA, which costs a fortune, and I'm not kidding, it's just like moving a fridge. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it, and if this was helpful in any way, please hit the subscription and notification bells. It really does help keep the channel going, and throw me a like if this was helpful in any way. Stay safe, be creative, add something creative to the world that could really use it. We'll catch you guys in the next video.